In this video, we'll be taking a look at the 442nd Siege Battalion clone troopers for the Saga collection. Unfortunately, these guys never made their way into Revenge of the Sith. They originally were supposed to, but ultimately all we got of them was a couple concept art photos. Fortunately, a year after the movie, Hasbro decided to release some of these concept art clones. We got these guys. We also got the 5th Fleet Security, which is basically an all-white clone with a couple blue markings on it. Then we also got the Combat Engineer. We did get a couple action figures of the Combat Engineer in the Revenge of the Sith line, but they were the pre-posed ones. But then Saga Collection, we ended up getting a super articulated version. I think Clone Commander Devis, who was originally named as just the Clone Commander, was also a concept art clone. And there were a few other ones as well, but I think pretty much all the ones I named were all the ones that actually got an action figure at some point. So I'm personally a big fan of these guys. I really like their color scheme. We kind of have a commander for them now. I know I've mentioned this in a video at some point, but this Clone Commander Gray here, he pretty much has the same markings as the 442nd. So in my collection, I treat him as like he's their commander. I don't think he officially is. To be honest, I haven't read enough about his character to know exactly which clone legion he's a part of. But even if he is part of another legion, come on, that's way too similar. All the markings are just about there. He has the markings just above his ankles there, on his knees. Very similar green pattern. And most of these markings here on his arms are, well, there are some differences in the arm, but him being the commander, you can kind of let him get away with that. But still, we don't have an official commander for the 442nd Siege Battalion at all, so he's a great placeholder. So these action figures are just reutilizing the antenna mold, which I know I've talked about numerous times on the channel before, but all these clones deserve their own video regardless. And of course, at this point, if you're a collector, most collectors are very familiar with this antenna mold. And personally, I still regard this as the best clone trooper mold that we've ever gotten from Hasbro, even compared to the newer releases we've gotten. Something about the proportions on this are very nice. The plastic is very durable, very sturdy. And it's just a nice looking clone trooper overall. Other than maybe the hips, the articulation is perfect. So you can see he has his nice green markings, and he does have a lot of battle damage on him. A lot of scrapes and scuffs, and not so much weathering. As you can see, the white on his armor is very clean. But you can tell he's probably ran his armor through the washer a couple times, but he just never bothered to repair some of these scuffs. So I got both of these two together on eBay back in 2018 or 19, and it comes with everything you see here. It did come with the Boba Fett and the Han Solo hologram that you see. But I got them loose. I think what the seller ended up doing was opening them both up out of the package and then putting the listing up and then selling them as new out of the package. As you can see, they're both in really good condition here. Happy to add these guys to my collection. One goal I kind of have is to collect all the antenna mold clones. At least one sample of everything. And I think I'm getting pretty close to completing that. And they do come with an antenna. I know some of the antenna mold clones do not have one, like the 501st for instance. But these guys do have one, and it fits in pretty securely on their back. I'm not exactly sure the significance as to why Hasbro included the antennas. As far as I know, there's no concept art or anything out there that shows clone troopers having an antenna in their back. Maybe it's supposed to be like a radio or something. I'm not sure. But I don't think anyone has ever faulted throughout the years. I think it adds the little bit of charm to these clone troopers. So, as I mentioned, he is super articulated, at least for the time. He has the ball joint the head, very nice range of motion, hinge shoulders, elbows, swivel wrist, joint the torso, swivel hips, hinge knees, and hinged ankles. And for accessories, it's just the DC-15 carbine, the smaller one. And that's pretty much it for accessories. And then, of course, if you count the antenna. It looks like the scuff marks are mostly the same between the two, but there are some variations, as you can see, like on his right shoulder there. This one is much more darker and defined compared to this one. Back in the day, Hasbro used to do some differences between the weathering and scuff marks on the action figures. Yeah, you can kind of see on his arm, it's slightly different. A way to distinguish your clones. I know on the Galactic Marines, they're very particular about that, where all the weathering and dirt marks on them are totally different. So besides the accessories we've talked about, of course you have the stands here. 442nd Siege Battalion, Revenge of the Sith. Very nice. And then I'm pretty sure we haven't talked about either of these holograms before. That was another big incentive for me to get these two, is this is the only Han Solo and Boba Fett holograms I have, and they were the first ones I ever got. So it's nice to finally be able to add some unique ones. Kind of surprised that Clone Troopers would include these, but it's nice regardless. You think they would have included like a Yoda or Obi-Wan, or, of course, a Vader. But fortunately, that's not the case. Pretty nice pose of Han Solo. Looks pretty good. And there is a blue one as well. Then we have Boba Fett in blue. There's also a red one. Really miss getting these holograms. So Empire logo down here, then the Rebellion symbol there. I did mention in a previous video that I would like to get that hockey puck from the Black Series hologram figures that are making its rounds recently. And I think these would look pretty good on top of that, especially the blue ones, because I think it's a bluish light. I'm trying to see here. I think the belts are actually backwards on these two. I just noticed that. They might be. At least Commander Gray's is opposite. Interesting. Trying to look at some of these other clones, and yeah, I think they might be. Or somebody's belt is opposite. And you can see on this 501st here that it's the opposite. So that's something to note, but not a big deal. But anyways, that's all I can really tell you about these clones. Like I said, happy they're a part of my collection. If you're a big fan of Clone Troopers, you should add these to your collection as well. Very nice color scheme. Very interesting Legion to read a little bit about, although there's not a whole lot of information, but still what little there is. And it's nice to see Hasbro make action figures of some of these concept art characters. They don't really seem to do that so much anymore, or in the recent decade or so. And as far as price is concerned, I think they're pretty affordable. I think between these two, I only paid like $15 free shipping after all was said and done. So I know one brand new in the package is usually around that range, so not too bad of a price. If you want them, it's pretty easily accessible for most people. But anyways, that concludes this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for plenty more reviews in the future. There'll always be more to come. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I always appreciate all your support. And check out some of the links in the description if you haven't done so already. As always, thanks for watching.